Alright, here we go. In today's video, we are going to share with you guys exactly how we set up electricity on our land for our RV. So about 2 years ago, we bought this property and it did have electricity on the property already because we have an abandoned house on this property that we need to tear down. But, so there was electricity already to the property, but we needed electricity to where we were parking our camper because we need to set up a 50 amp plug right by our camper so we could be plugged into electricity all the time. We don't move. We live full time in the stationary RV while we are building on our property. So this is just a means to an end for us, but we knew that we did want to make the investment to set up electricity. So people have asked me, why didn't you invest in some sort of solar system to power your RV? And like I said, this is just temporary for us, so we didn't want to invest a bunch into a temporary living space.
It would have been cheaper to do this anyway.
Yeah. So we're going to share with you guys every step that we took, the cost breakdown, how much each step costs. If you guys are considering full-time stationary RV life, we actually put everything we did into a 40-page guide. Everything we wish we would have known, every step we took to go from a 2,000 square foot house into a RV full-time. So I'll link that down below. We call it the stationary camper blueprint, and in it, it has all the information you need, from setting up your power to your water, dealing with your black tank and your gray tank, storage solutions, products we use. So all of that is in that blueprint, and I will link that down below.
All right, first step is to notify our local power company. So I got a hold of our local power company, and they would give us a list of requirements for setting all this up. They were super helpful, and the very first step was to contact our Julie hotline, which is essentially Illinois state law requires that we call them so that we're not digging and trenching and then all of a sudden hit a power line that we shouldn't have. So they'll come out, they'll mark every area that we can't dig in so that we don't do that.
That was helpful. They marked all of our utility lines, so any power lines underground, any water lines underground. So that just keeps you safe so that you don't get electrocuted, and also so that you don't shut down the power in your neighborhood and all your neighbors hate you. So that's step one. All right, the second step is that we purchased our meter box from the power company directly. I think this was a requirement. I don't think that we could get it from like a local hardware store. So check your local regulations, but we had to buy ours directly from the power company, and that alone was $600. And then they had guidelines for how to mount it next to the already existing power pole. So Silas built just an H-frame stand from some scrap wood that we had laying around, or maybe your dad had laying around. And we mounted the meter box to this H-frame. Were there requirements for how high it needed to be off the ground?
Yep.
They were pretty specific on the guidelines for how to mount this meter box. So we just followed their instructions for mounting that right next to the already existing electric pole on our property.
Okay.
Does this help?
Yeah. Okay. So step number 3 is we rented a trencher from a local rental company, brought it here, and we trenched all the way from the meter over to where we're going to place our shore power.
That took so many days. So the trencher cost us $225 for the day, and so we actually trenched our water line and our electric line that day so that we didn't have to rent it twice. And a crucial step here is to just make sure that you get your trench close enough to your camper so that it can plug in, because the camper cord's only so long. So
also, if you want a pro tip, not a pro, but if you wanted a pro tip, trench in the spring.
Yeah.
I don't even care where you're at, just trench in the spring. The soil's gonna be a lot more moist.
When did we trench? We trenched in the fall.
In the fall.
Oh, and it was so
compact and hard. It was crazy.
So solid.
Crazy.
Took a long time. Or best case scenario, we're in a tractor, right? I saw someone dig a trench line the other day in like 10 seconds. It took us all day to dig these trenches, but one day and the work was done. So step number 4 is that we installed our 50 amp outlet. So you can get this at a local hardware store. I think we got ours on homedepot.com. You need to figure out what kind of plug your RV takes. Ours takes a 50 amp. We have a fifth wheel. But depending on your camper, yours might take a 30 amp plug. So our box actually has a 50 amp plug and a 30 amp plug and some 110 outlets, right?
Yep.
So it's really handy. Or you can just get the cheapest option, which is just the 50 amp plug. So we mounted that 50 amp plug to just a post, and then we put the post in the ground next to our camper. I think the final step was just to connect the two things, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Step number 5 is we ran the wire underground all the way over to the shore power. So Really helps having an uncle who is a former electrician. He knows what he's doing. I didn't get myself shocked and killed, and it's actually done professionally and it looks really good.
All right, I forgot to say this with number 4, but I think that our 50 amp plug that we purchased was about $200 to $250. I can't remember exactly. And then Silas just shared step number 5, and that was the electrical wire, and I think that cost us about $1,000. But that's super dependent on how far your electric has to go. Okay, so step number 6 is the final step and the most exciting step. We contacted the power company and we let them know that we were all set on our end. We had installed our meter base next to the electric pole. We had installed our 50 amp plug next to our camper, and we had run the electrical wire underground and connected at the 2 ends. So all that was left was to contact the power company, let them know we were all set on our end, and we paid them the final charge, which was $1,100 for them to connect from the pole to our meter base. From that point, we were pretty much ready to just plug and play. It was ready to go. So the last thing that I wanted to share was that we plugged our camper into a surge protector and then plugged the surge protector into our 50 amp plug. This is really important so that if any electrical surges happen, they don't fry your RV. So I will link our surge protector down below, the exact one that we bought on Amazon. So the total cost to completely set up electrical on our land was about $3,000. That's going to vary greatly depending on where you're located and how far you have to run the electrical, if there's already electricity on your property. There's so many factors here, but for us it costs about $3,000. But like I said at the beginning of the video, if you are interested in full-time stationary RV life and you're wondering how we did this, how we set everything up, I will link our blueprint down below. It's on sale right now for $27. If you guys have any questions about how we did this, how we did the electricity, or any other questions about full-time RV life, go ahead and comment down below and we will get back to you. And yeah, we will catch you guys in the next video.